Welcome to How to Outdoors. Today I'm here to tell you about a buck. No, not this little white buck I arrowed back in the 90s. Pretty cool animal. But about a buck, my best buck that I never killed. You ever had a deer that just popped up and you knew it was a special animal? Well, 4 years ago I spotted a buck on my property that was just a nice little buck. Nothing real special about him. He was a decent 7-pointer. Well, thanks to a computer crash, I don't have a lot of pictures, but I do have this little picture right here of him after season. Now, if I had a chance to shoot him with some good video that year, would I have done it? I probably would have. But as I was out hunting shed antlers one day, this happened. Ha! Just walked out of the brush and here sits an antler. It's that nice 7. Oh, there's the other one right there! A matching set! Well, this is that set of horns right there. It wasn't my first matching set of sheds I've ever found, but it was right next to my house. I mean, the same field next to my house, and they lay just a few feet apart. And he doesn't look like much, but I didn't realize it then. He's going to turn into a buck that I just dreamed about, that I just couldn't do anything about hunting without thinking about killing this one deer. And as nice a buck as he is, the next year he got some character to him. He got a Y on his G2, had a little sticker point coming out next to a big grub hole, and believe it or not, I was able to find one side of that deer, the side with the grub hole, and here's a quick shot of the video that I had back then. I've looked everywhere for that. That's that one with the grub hole in it that I nicknamed Kicker because of that little point right there. He made it through the season. Well, this is the shed. The Kicker buck. I named him the Kicker buck because of that little bitty point there. And he had a big grub hole. It may give him some character. But man, I was so happy when I found this. And you just seen the video of it. And this is a buck then I really started thinking, man, I really want to shoot this buck. The year after this antler right here, this deer seemed to explode. I had pictures of him in velvet where he just looked really nice. I had some hard horn pictures. This is one right here of him. I think this was in like late August maybe, or maybe it's early September. He's just a big bodied animal. Well, the whole year went through. I hunted him hard. He disappeared. Never seen him again. Just was gone. I always run trail cameras all year round, and on my back cornfield I got a picture. I think it was Christmas Eve that I got a picture of this buck. He was back. Where he had been, I have no clue. Well, when it come time, I hunted hard for his sheds, and this is the recovery of one of his sheds. Oh, thank you, Lord. I just found a giant shed. I haven't even been to it yet, but I can see the Y on it, and I know who it is. Holy cow. Holy cow. It is huge. Oh, man. It's got blood on the burr still, so it hasn't been that long. I used the word giant a couple times, but this is a quality buck. This was a buck I was losing sleep over. Well, last summer, June 19th, I look out my bedroom window, and right out in my hayfield, right beside my bedroom window, stands this deer. Now it's June. So, is it the same buck? I knew it was. He had this pale face. It was round. I knew the buck. And I grabbed my camera. This is a little bit of video of that. Oh, good heavens. Look at you, big guy. At the time, he just was laid flat out. I mean, he had a nice rack. for that part of June with Mass. The buck next to him was a wide buck. He ended up having double drop tines, that one did. But this buck that I called Kicker Buck, he was my goal. Well, I got a picture of him. I want to tell you, it was July. I guess it was late July. It might have been July 31st, come to think about it. Out in front of my house in a field, and he looked like a giant. And this is a picture of him still in velvet. It's all I dreamed about, the giant buck. Well, just like every other year, he just started fading away. I got a few pictures of him. It was late September. I have a bean field out back. And I got a hard horn picture of him. It was kind of dark. I lightened it up on the computer. And now I know in velvet they look huge. But he was still a great buck. And this is a picture of him right here. Even though it was dark, you can see he's a quality deer. Well, I hunted him. I set a game plan up. We have 130 acres that we hunt, and I didn't allow anybody to go in these woods because I wanted this buck. And we had stands all the way around the perimeter of it. We never went into the core of it. And we seen deer after deer after deer. I passed up bucks. I passed a 4.5-year-old buck up that I shouldn't have. But man, this deer was just in my head. Well, about October 13th, 14th, I had a picture of him at night coming out of a cornfield. It's blurry. This deer comes out. He has a neck bigger around as a barrel. He was huge. And I know it's blurry, but if you look at this picture right here, you could tell this is a giant buck. Well, that was October 13th, 14th, something like that, right in that area. And he was gone. Did not see him again. After not having pictures for so long, I wanted to give up on him. A neighbor come to me and said, hey, the first day of rifle season, we hit this big buck and we got blood on him and I couldn't find him. But I never had another picture of him. Went through all rifle season, no pictures of him. I think I passed up 11 different legal rack bucks this year looking for this one buck. But I had this just gnawing in my stomach. This deer's dead. And if he was shot less than a mile from here and lost, he's somewhere. I started pounding the ground. And it finally happened. February 24th. I'm out looking for shed antlers. I see a carcass. I got this bad suspicion I know who it is. My heart's sinking. Maybe I'm wrong. This is a buck I've chased for 4 years. No way. Look at this buck. Wow, that's tough. I've hunted this buck for 4 years. He's frozen in the ground. Oh, look at that. Look at that buck. This is a buck I called Kicker Buck. I was introduced to him as a 7-year-old, or as a 7.2-year-old. And he didn't have any, he had one little brow tine and no Ys. The next year he grew a Y on the left side here. And got super long brow tines. And then the next year he grew Ys on both sides. And this year he had Ys on both sides. I'm going to take his whole head with me because I believe, I know he's at least 5. He might be 6.5 years old. Look at that. I laid awake at night dreaming that this giant would walk under my tree stand, and I find him dead. Man, that's a heartache. Thank you, Lord, that I'm the one that found him and not somebody else. Here he is. And I didn't mean for the sunlight to shine through the window on that, but that's what I thought. That's what I seen in that field. And I'm going to be honest with you, before I got to that buck, I felt like I was going to be in tears, but that's a trophy buck. He was a sweet one. And I'm glad I found him. And what do you do when you find a buck like this? In Pennsylvania, you can't legally pick it up and take it. It's against the law. If you were found out, the Game Commission would come, they'd confiscate the animal, you'd be fined. Well, the first thing I done is I come home and I called the Game Commission and said, hey, I found this big dead buck. I would like to own the antlers. And the guy says, you can't do that. And I said, well, I read a case study of a buck down south, down toward the Lancaster area, I guess, from southern Pennsylvania, that the guy had found a rack, and the Game Commission found out, and they come and took it away from him. They confiscated it. And the warden said if you wanted to buy the rack, he could have had it. And that's what I want to do. And the guy said, oh, yeah, you can do that. So I set up an appointment with the game officer up here. He met me on one of my jobs, and we got the paperwork done, give him the money for it at $10 a point. I think it was well worth it after all the years and all the hours that I spent on this buck. The big thing of it is with him, he was able to pull his jawbone. And he indeed was a 6.5-year-old buck. And for around here, that's an incredible age on a wild deer. And I know there's probably more of them out there, and he's not the biggest buck in the world. But this buck here, yeah, he turned into a quality buck. So the next time you pick up that little basket rack, shed antlers, and oh, that's a nice little rack. You got him. And we find him. I found a spike this year this big. That spike someday might turn into the biggest buck I never killed. Thanks for watching. God bless you. Get them shed antlers picked up and kill yourself a big gower. So what do you think, guys, gals? What's the score? I'm not going to tell you. Leave a comment and down in the comment section below this video. And I'm going to let it go probably for 30 days before I release the score. But take a guess. You win absolutely nothing. Well, you might get a that a boy or that a girl. But he's a good buck. And I'd like to see what you guys think he scores. I've told a few people. So if you guys guess, it doesn't count. But I'd still give you your that a boy. So, all right.